I had just come home from work, hoping to unwind after a long day. As soon as I walked through the door, a sense of unease washed over me. Our home, usually filled with the sound of the TV or Ryan's laughter, was eerily silent. My heart began to race, sensing an impending storm. I cautiously stepped into the living room. There lay Ryan, my boyfriend of over 2 years, passed out drunk on the floor, surrounded by empty beer bottles. His phone was on the table, unlocked. This was highly unusual because he always guarded his phone so diligently. My intuition told me there was something I needed to know. With trembling hands, I picked up his phone. The first thing I saw was an unread text from B that said, "Baby." My heart sank. I opened the message thread and saw a few worried texts from her, saying she hadn't heard from him. I went to recover his deleted messages with her, almost 10,000 messages. My hands shook and my heart pounded as I skimmed through what I could. It was all "I love yous" and intimate exchanges. She was his girlfriend, it was obvious. Ryan began to stir as I finished going through the messages. Initially, I wasn't going to say anything, but when he tried to kiss me, I couldn't hold back. I confronted him, and he tried to deny it, asking me what I was talking about. I told him to bring me his phone, and I would show him. Immediately, he admitted to it. He confessed to having an affair for months with the HR lady at his workplace, who happened to be married to his boss. I asked him how he could do this to me, and he immediately tried to shift the blame, saying he thought I was having an affair and that I had pulled away from him too much. It was classic deflection, and it made me sick. His mother, hearing the commotion, came into the room. She tried to be supportive, telling me I didn't have to leave and that this was my home. Ryan, still drunk, kept ranting that he loved me and was going to quit his job and block her and anyone else. I felt trapped. I had nowhere else to go, no money to start over. I was utterly lost. I decided to stay for the night, but I couldn't sleep. Thoughts raced through my mind. Should I pack up and leave? Should I report the affair to the company and tell her husband? What good would any of that do for me? I felt nauseous, like I was going to puke. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I needed time to think. Ryan, hungover, tried to apologize again, but I couldn't stand to look at him. I went for a walk to clear my head. The cool morning air did little to calm the storm inside me. As I walked, I thought about all the lies, all the times he had made me feel like I was the problem. I thought about the sacrifices I had made for our relationship, how I had put up with his alcoholism, his mood swings. And now this. When I returned, I found his mother in the kitchen. She looked at me with sad eyes and said, "You deserve better than this." Her words hit me hard. She was right. I did deserve better. I deserved someone who would treat me with respect, who wouldn't lie and cheat. That evening, while Ryan was still nursing his hangover, I made a decision. I would leave, but not before I made sure there were consequences for his actions. I began to document everything, the messages, his confessions. I wrote down everything he had said, every detail I could remember. I reached out to a friend who worked in HR and asked for advice. She told me that reporting the affair could have serious repercussions, especially since it involved the boss's wife. It could lead to investigations, job losses, and legal issues. But she also said it might be the right thing to do, to expose the truth. The next day, I went to Ryan's workplace. I asked to speak with the HR manager, B, privately. When I walked into her office, she looked surprised to see me. I calmly told her who I was and what I knew. Her face turned pale as I laid out the evidence. "I'm not here to cause a scene," I said, "but your actions have hurt a lot of people. Your husband deserves to know the truth, and so does the company." B tried to deny everything at first, but when I showed her the messages, she broke down. She begged me not to tell her husband, saying it would ruin her life. I felt a pang of pity, but I knew what I had to do. I left her office and went straight to her husband's. I told him everything. He was shocked, but thanked me for telling him. He said he would handle it from there. When I got home, I told Ryan what I had done. He was furious, saying I had ruined his life. I told him he had done that himself. I packed my bags and left. His mother hugged me and wished me luck. I moved in with a friend temporarily while I figured things out. It was tough starting over, but I knew I had made the right decision. I started therapy to deal with the emotional fallout and began looking for a new job. Months passed. I heard through the grapevine that B's husband had filed for divorce and that Ryan had lost his job. It wasn't easy, but I slowly started to rebuild my life. I focused on my career, my friends, and most importantly, myself. One day, I received a letter from Ryan. He apologized for everything, saying he was getting help for his alcoholism and wanted to make amends. I didn't reply. I had moved on, and I wasn't going to let him drag me back into the past. A year later, on the anniversary of the day I left Ryan, I found myself in a much better place. I had a new job, a new apartment, and a new sense of self-worth. I had learned to value myself and to not settle for less than I deserved. On my birthday, my friends threw me a surprise party. As I blew out the candles, I made a wish for happiness, for peace, and for the strength to continue growing. I knew I still had a long way to go, but I also knew I was on the right path. Looking back, I realized that catching Ryan cheating was a turning point in my life. It was painful, but it forced me to confront the truth and to make changes I had been avoiding for far too long. In the end, it was a blessing in disguise. After packing my bags and leaving Ryan's house, I moved in with my friend Kate. Kate had been my rock through the tumultuous weeks that followed. She listened as I vented, held me as I cried, and encouraged me to seek therapy to navigate the emotional fallout. A few weeks after settling in with Kate, I received a call from Ryan's mother. She had always been kind to me, and her voice was filled with concern. She asked if we could meet for coffee. Despite my apprehension, I agreed. When we met, she looked weary. "I'm so sorry for what Ryan did," she said, her voice cracking. "I raised him better than this." "I know you did," I replied, my heart aching for her. She explained that Ryan had hit rock bottom. Losing his job had been a wake-up call, and he was finally seeking help for his alcoholism. She hoped I might consider talking to him. I reluctantly agreed to see Ryan. We met at a small park, neutral ground where neither of us would feel cornered. He looked like a shadow of the man I once knew, gaunt, with dark circles under his eyes. It was clear he had been through hell. "I'm sorry," he said, tears welling up. "I know I can't undo the damage I've done, but I'm trying to change." I listened as he poured out his heart, admitting to his mistakes and expressing his regret. He had been attending Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and was seeing a therapist. It was a start, but I wasn't ready to forgive him. "I need time," I said, standing up. "I hope you find the peace you're looking for." Returning to Kate's place, I felt a mix of emotions. Seeing Ryan so broken had stirred something within me, but I knew I had to focus on my own healing. I threw myself into my work, picking up extra shifts to save money for my own place. Therapy became a lifeline. My therapist helped me navigate the complexities of betrayal, self-worth, and rebuilding my life. Slowly, I began to feel stronger, more resilient. I reconnected with old friends and even started taking a yoga class to help with my stress. One evening, as I was scrolling through job listings, I received a message from B's husband, Michael. He wanted to thank me for telling him the truth. It had been a difficult year for him as well, but he was grateful for my honesty. As Michael and I exchanged messages, we discovered we had more in common than we initially thought. Both of us had been blindsided by the betrayal of our partners, and both of us were on a journey of self-discovery and healing. Our conversations became more frequent, and a friendship blossomed. One day, Michael invited me to a charity event his company was hosting. Nervously, I agreed to go. The event was a breath of fresh air, an opportunity to dress up, meet new people, and enjoy myself. Michael was a gracious host, introducing me to his colleagues and making sure I felt comfortable. As the evening progressed, I found myself genuinely enjoying Michael's company. He was kind, attentive, and understanding of my past. For the first time in a long while, I felt a spark of hope. After the charity event, Michael and I continued to see each other. We took things slow, both cautious and mindful of our past wounds. Over time, our friendship deepened into something more. We were two broken people finding solace in each other's company, and it was beautiful. On the anniversary of my breakup with Ryan, Michael surprised me with a weekend getaway. It was a thoughtful gesture, one that showed how much he cared. We spent the weekend hiking, talking, and simply enjoying each other's presence. As we sat by a campfire on the last night of our trip, Michael took my hand. "I never thought I could feel this way again," he said, his voice soft. "You've helped me heal more than you know." I looked into his eyes, feeling the warmth of his words. "And you've done the same for me," I replied. A year had passed since the day I discovered Ryan's betrayal. In that time, I had faced my fears, rebuilt my life, and found love in the most unexpected place. Michael and I were happy, supporting each other through the highs and lows. I had moved into my own apartment, but Michael and I spent most of our time together. We were taking things one day at a time, enjoying the journey and the growth that came with it. On my birthday, Michael planned a surprise party with all of my closest friends. As I blew out the candles, I made a wish for continued strength, for happiness, and for a future filled with love and possibility. Looking back, I realized that catching Ryan cheating was a turning point in my life. It was painful, but it forced me to confront the truth and make changes I had been avoiding for far too long. In the end, it was a blessing in disguise. As the party wound down, Michael and I sat on the balcony, watching the stars. "Happy birthday," he whispered, kissing my forehead. "Thank you," I said, smiling. "For everything." He squeezed my hand. "Here's to new beginnings." And with that, I knew I was ready for whatever the future held. I had faced the darkness and come out stronger on the other side. This was just the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with hope, love, and endless possibilities.